everybody, welcome. Today we are going to show you how to properly set up currently Quint 3, our bucket Quint 85 footer, and that it will be myself, Captain Jason Beller, and engineer Will Gianola for Flagstaff Fire Department. We are currently the facilitators for the aerial exam during the promotional engineer test. So this will be a instructional video on how to properly set up this unit, but be advised we could use any of our aerial apparatus during this test. Standard practice that we've been doing for the last few years, you will show up at a designated station that we assign. Normally it's one of our stations that currently hold either Quint 1 or Quint 3, and at that point we will give you further instructions. Minimum PPE to bring would be a helmet, gloves, radio, and turnout bottoms. I would strongly recommend to just bring all of your turnouts, and also bring a driver's license and eye protection as well. We will give you further instructions when we are in the cab. Standard practice is we will get you into the engineer driver's seat, and then we will tell you where we will be driving. You are not graded on your driving capabilities, but we do advise that you get us there safely, so use all the proper precautions. Once we are there, we will tell you specifically what we will be using the aerial apparatus for. It could be a rescue, it could be for vertical ventilation, or it could be for master stream. At that point, you will then decide if you will be using our tank water to be doing master stream or just the aerial. And then once we get to the location, one of us will be your silent partner. We will be your spotter setting up the aerial so you can safely perform the objective that we ask of you. You do have 20 minutes once you start with the parking brake to set up the aerial for the action that we give you. That is ample amount of time, so be methodical, take your time, be safe. And once you are all set up with the aerial to the location that you feel is correct, we will stop your time, and then we will ask you to slowly lower the aerial back to a ready position. Once we get to that position, we will then ask you 10 to 15 questions. You have 10 minutes to answer those questions, which each of those questions you have the ability to go back and answer them if you are having some difficulty.
The only thing I would like to add is the testing material is not kept secret. If you log on to the S drive, you can follow the steps utilized for the test, and that material is going to be under, of course, go on the S drive, go to Engineer's Task Book, and you'll find the sheet that you need to follow for the proper steps. And we also use that for training.
So we are now in the cab of the truck. The candidate will start in the engineer position. I will start in the captain's position, and Engineer Gianola will start in the back firefighter spot. We will assign you saying that this is our crew and that we would like you to drive safely to the location that we ask. If you do not know where the location is, we will give you exact directions on how to get there to make sure we do get there safely. And once again, you are not graded on getting us there the proper way, but just make sure you get us there safely. Once we get to our assigned location, we will stop you with ample distance so you can decide how to safely get to the proper spot of the building and or location to complete the action that we will assign to you at that location.
Please remember to bring a valid driver's license for testing purposes and also non-testing purposes to operate city vehicles.
So we've made it to our location. At this point, we would still be in the cab, but I would tell the candidate the objective that I'm asking. For example, today we will be saying we are putting the bucket on the alpha side for ventilation. I will give him specifics and ask him if he has any questions at that point. Once again, he or she have 20 minutes to complete, which is more than enough time. But once again, we are silent partners. So I expect the candidate to be able to give the spotter clear instructions how to safely put the bucket and or stick onto the building to safely do the ventilation.
Once we arrive on scene, there's going to be 6 steps that we do in the cab. These 6 steps are going to be listed on the sheet that is where we instructed on the S-Drive earlier. These 6 steps are going to be lights. Make sure your truck is in neutral. Your parking brake is set. We set our front wheel lock. We set our aerial master and our aerial PTO. Once those steps are complete, I'm going to instruct my firefighter who is helping me set up the outriggers. I'm going to have him set up my front wheel chocks first, and then I'm going to have him help me set my pins on my outriggers. But I'm going to verbally express this now because due to the weather outside with the wind. Please remember, when we start the scenario, radio, gloves, helmet, and iPro. Kyle, have you set up the chocks on this side? As we come to setting up our outriggers, we have a joystick here. We need to engage power to this unit. To know that we have power, we have a green light. We had set our pads down. We're clear on this side. I'm going to extend our outriggers. Kyle, can you set those pins and make sure those pads are appropriately set? So as we set these out, we want to make sure that we're not setting our outriggers on any manhole covers or unsteady ground. What we're looking for on our joystick here is 8 green lights. Once I have 8 green lights, I can do this auto stabilizer button, level assist button, and it will equally stabilize our outriggers. We have 8 green. We are ready to set up our aerial. So once our outriggers are set up, something we're looking for in the testing process is we want to have the bulge out of the tires, or we need the tires to be off the ground. Also, when we're setting up the outriggers, if you set them up appropriately the first time, you'll get 100% of those points. If you have to change something in your setup and reposition them, you're going to lose a deduction of points. While we're here, one big thing is once we have the outriggers out, we need to be in the green. That's so we can function at 100%. So we're going to check that here. And we're also going to check green over here, which we are, so we can operate in 100%. And now we'll go up to the turntable. Once we're on the turntable, we're going to come to our ladder controls. Can you zoom in over here? Sorry, can you zoom in over here, Casey? This is pretty self-explanatory. Raise, left, right, extend and retract. And then we have our aerial speed modes here. Anytime we're raising the ladder for any purposes, we can go to fast, but as we get closer to the building, we need to go back to slow mode. When we raise the ladder, we're going to be using the acronym EARL, elevate, rotate, extend, lower, as we get closer to the building. I'm looking for my overhead obstructions here, which would be power lines. As we swing the aerial device, we're going to be looking for trees, other buildings, and we're going to have a spotter, and I need to be able to see my spotter at all times. Kaiser, you're my spotter. We're going to be swinging right to the building. We're just going to go on the peak right here. Yeah, perfect. So we're going to raise. We're going to go right. I'm keeping visual contact with my spotter. As we lower, I'm going to switch this to slow mode as we get closer to the building. You'll hear the truck idle down. And as we get closer, I'll take pressure off the joystick to slow the lowering of the ladder. What we're looking for when we get closer to the building is 8 to 12 inches. Once the ladder is in position, we're looking to make sure our rungs are aligned. I have a green light indicating my rungs are aligned. Now we can safely climb. Once we have successfully set up our ladder, you're going to be asked to safely stow the ladder and put the truck back into normal operational mode.
So that concludes the aerial setup portion of the aerial exam during the engineer promotional test. Key points to take from that: Engineer Gianola gave clear instructions to his spotter, kept good eye contact with him the entire time, was safe and methodical, and was able to put the bucket up to the building. He did it in half the amount of time that he needed, so it does show that you do have time. So do it safe, do it smart, and you'll do just fine. After that point, we will stop the test time when he says that it is clear to climb the ladder. At that point, you will then put the ladder away. You are not timed. Just make sure you do it safely, and you're also keeping contact with your spotter at that point as well. Once the ladder is fully stowed, we will then ask you roughly 10 to 15 questions that pertain to either of our aerial apparatus or aerial operations. You do have 10 minutes, which is ample amount of time. You can go back to questions if you're having difficulty with those questions.